So the Miami Dolphins scored a near record amount of points against the Denver Broncos yesterday. Um, I just this team is great. I mean, I hate Miami, so because I'm a Bills fan, so obviously I hate Miami. But it's cool to see a team score this kind of points. It must be fun to watch. I didn't actually catch this game personally because I wouldn't watch a Dolphins game if you paid me. I should have watched this one, unfortunately, 70 points. But they actually put the brakes on a little, eh? So I'm going to read this article here and see what you think. There's something to be said about the society we live in where we're overly polite, this kind of thing. I think they should have just went for the record. It says Dolphins scores 70. Mike McDaniel explains why Miami decided to not go for the NFL scoring record by getting 73. Okay, so the Dolphins had a chance to tie the NFL scoring record on Sunday, but they decided not to do it. The Miami Dolphins absolutely destroyed the Denver Broncos on Sunday, 70-20. By scoring 70, the Dolphins tied the NFL record for the fourth most points ever scored in a game. But here's the thing: they actually could have scored more. Miami hit the 70-point mark with roughly 8 minutes left to play after Devon Arcane scored on a 67-yard run after a failed drive by the Broncos. And by this point, mind you, they had all their second stringers in. So they pulled the first stringers out, and they're just still running all over Denver, right? So that's where I'll say I kind of disagree stopping. But here I'll continue to read this article anyway. The Dolphins got the ball back, knowing that if they scored a touchdown, they would break the NFL record for most points ever scored in a game. They also knew that if they just kicked a field goal, they would get to 73 points, which would tie the NFL record for the most points ever scored in a game. Now, see, the field goal thing I would disagree with because that's what you're going for 100%. It's like, oh, well, we got stopped and now we're going to pick the field. That's just my personal feel. I'm not going to argue for or against that sort of thing. I just would say, just let them go for it. They get the touchdown. But here's what they decided to do anyway. Even though the Dolphins had their backups in, they still managed to drive down into Denver territory thanks to a 52-yard run by Chris Brooks. The big game put the Dolphins at Denver's 23-yard line with just over 2 minutes remaining. At that point, it would have been pretty simple for the Dolphins to get at least a field goal out of the drive, but Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel decided to take the high road. Instead of going for the record, McDaniel called for 3 runs up the middle to make it 4th down. And instead of attempting the field goal, he called for a kneel down that ended Miami's possession. So personally, I don't disagree with not calling for the field goal, but running the 3 plays up the middle was probably just they were just giving it up essentially. They probably just said, yeah, just don't run it in type thing. Whereas I would have if I were them, I would have just let them go for it. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. But yeah, whatever. I think we live in polite society, and that's the thing now. It's like, well, let's not hurt anybody's feelings. So, well, as I said, I'm not a fan of the Dolphins anyway, so I'm kind of happy to not see them get the record. I guess the record was back in, let's see if it says it. I think the record was back in the 1940 or something like that. Yeah, okay, so Chicago beat Washington 73-0 in the 1940 NFL title game. Back then it was NFL, AFL, I think, where there wasn't enough teams for 2 conferences. I'm not sure. But anyways, either way, I don't really care. Pretty impressive that they were able to score that many points. It probably would have been a fun game to watch, even though it was garbage Miami Dolphins, who, again, I hate.